Alright, fuck it. This is how hardcore I am. I'm going handheld, no notes. Boom.
So I apologize in advance because this is gonna suck.
It always does.
Alright. Well, fuck it. If we're going all the way off the rails, wait, first, let's take care of some business. So I heard, Egg told me at some point in the past that, like, he lets kids into GrrCON for free. If your kid is here, it's time to go. This is the end of my responsibility. My bad. Totally my bad. Alright. Okay, so who the fuck am I? Raise your hand if you don't need this slide. Alright, thank you. Anyway, I am Duncan, Manuts exchange student from Deutschland. I am old as hell, and to prove it, here's a bunch of shit that used to work, and you might think that you're smart and you know where this is from, but I promise you, there's almost no chance you can actually name the operating system in revision that shit backdoors. But I'm not spending a bunch of time on how fucking rad I used to be. We're talking about how rad a bunch of other people used to be. Alright, I am Howard fucking Beal of InfoSec. I am the Jay-Z of GrrCON. Right? Well, by the way, I decided I was going to steal something from somebody I saw earlier this year present, and I'm just throwing random shit in between my slides. We call them transitions. Some of these transitions are funny as shit. Most of them actually are inside jokes. Laugh if you get them, and realize that you're not in the game if you don't. Alright, so why the fuck am I doing this talk? Well, because straight up, yo, shit is all fucked up. It's time for you guys to get educated. I'll let you read the rest of those on your own. But InfoSec needs a mad prophet, and I guess that's me. So, for real, I mentioned Howard Beal from Network, because as I said, I'm fucking old. And everybody knows Howard Beal because he's the guy from Network who says, "You go to your window, I'm chilling, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore." But he also said, and this is the part that I'm actually Howard Beal about, you guys watch whatever comes across that tube. You listen to it, you live by it. Whatever we tell you is your version of reality. That's no longer a direct quote. Like I said, this is going to suck. I don't have my notes slides. But that's the deal. We've been listening to a set of media describe some things to us, and this summer, they started fucking up something that's dear to me, and, well, that's what I'm up here about. So, let's talk about the lie. Our industry is increasingly polarized around this concept of, you could call it white hat and black hat. That shit's been around a while. I thought I debunked that a couple of years ago, but maybe not. People are still throwing those terms around, naming companies after it and stuff. But in this day and age, hackers are actors and threat models. Anonymous is a law enforcement target. The FBI fucking trolled Anonymous 2 weeks ago with news stories about how Anonymous is dead, just trying to get them to come out and do something so that the FBI could land some more arrests and identify some more people, because they know that the Anons are still active and they just don't know what they're doing. So, also Manning, Snowden, WikiLeaks, I don't give a fuck what side of those you're on, but they're there. The NSA is spying on everyone. The FBI, by the way, you guys, if this bottom bullet is news to you, it's time to wake up. Because we've been talking about cyber war for a long time now in this industry, since about 2007, Time Magazine cover, right? So, the FBI borrowed ODay and malware from the NSA to start popping Tor nodes a few months ago, and it was discovered last month. Let that sink in. Law enforcement bought hacker tools from the military to hack hackers. Okay, so the game has changed. This shit wasn't even going on 4 or 5 years ago, right? I mean, but the lie is that it's the government and law enforcement, right? That you put on a white hat and you stand a post and you are a soldier in the fucking cyber war. Or you're a hacker and you give a shit about digital freedom and digital rights and you like to break stuff because it's fun and you're irresponsible and you are the enemy, right? That's the lie. The lie is that there's a choice. And that lie surfaced this summer at DEF CON 21. And so for those of you that didn't go to DEF CON and didn't watch, kind of the trade press news, you missed that Dark Tangent, who is the organizer of DEF CON, sent a memo, posted a memo several weeks before DEF CON saying, hey feds, don't come this year. Like shit's too hot, don't come. Right? But and then to try and address some of that heat, he asks Mudge, right? Mudge, to talk. And I'm not bagging on that for a second because whenever that video hits YouTube, we all need to go watch it. I happened to be there. That was a great talk. But, so here's the thing. Dark Tangent, cleared member of the Homeland Security Advisory Council, right? Mudge just spent the last 4 years giving away millions of dollars on behalf of DARPA. That would be the Defense Advanced Research Projects Association. Agency. Congratulations on having gotten your grant, sir. You can thank Mudge later. So, but that's my point though. They're feds. So why would they be the guys to deal with no feds at DEF CON? Why would they say that? Well, clearly they're not offended by feds, right? What this is really, I mean, let's call it for a minute. Dark Tangent didn't want feds at DEF CON because there was some level of credible threat that people were going to do to the NSA agents that go to DEF CON every year, right? Because if you've been going, right? DEF CON 19, I had an NSA guy try and recruit me for a job. I mean, they were pretty out in the open. I remember the old days of Spot the Feds and get the I Love Feds shirt because I found the Feds. The feds are finding us these days. So, it isn't that, but it's this, the credible threat that somebody was going to, I don't know, maybe do the thing that the NSA's been doing with PRISM to a couple of hotel networks, because that'd be really hard. Because they typically invest a ton of security on the in-room networking that they provide you. That they really don't ever give a shit if it works, let alone who's listening on the other end. And then maybe, in theory, some people might have thought it'd be funny to dox some NSA agents, just like the NSA agents have been doing to whoever the hell they've been listening to for the last few months. And Dark Tangent was smart enough, because he's a Fed and a hacker, to realize that this would have been an open declaration of war to the NSA. They don't have a sense of humor, they are the federal government, and then it would have fucked shit up worse than it already was. That's why feds didn't come to DEF CON this year, not because there's this polarization. But you didn't see that in the media, and he didn't come out and say he knew there was a credible threat that the NSA was going to get hacked. Because politically, for him, that sucks to have to say, yeah, we know that all the stuff the NSA does, we can do right back to them for fun. And only for a couple $100 worth of gear and a few hours worth of our time. Wait, so just to be clear, this guy is simultaneously wearing a white and black hat. That was my sole point. My sole point. So the truth is that people are complex, dynamic, and temporal beings. What do I mean by that? I mean that it's all about the moment in time. It's all about the choices that you make. It's all about the path that you walk in life that defines who you are. And you're only who you are at the time that you're that person. And so this idea that you have to choose is an illusion. Moreover, if you fail to understand how this whole industry came about, right, you risk fucking the whole thing up. And I like what I do, so stop fucking it up. Okay, so in 1998, May of 98, there's a watershed moment. Anybody who thinks they've got a clue in the audience, shout out what this is. Nailed it. Yes, this is Loft. testifying in front of the Senate about the security of the internet. And this is a watershed moment, not because people weren't hacking the internet before, or that people didn't know who hackers were. Boy, we're going to talk about some pre-1998 hacker history. That's going to be some funny shit. Because it's been a weird ride. But this is a watershed moment because this is the legitimization of the talent that hackers bring to the table as being important to the rest of the country and the rest of the world. And why is that important? It's important because we moved e-commerce onto the internet in the late 90s, and somebody said, hey, businesses are getting fucked because there are kids out there that are much, much smarter than businesses when it comes to how to mess around with computers. We should probably ask some of these long-haired hippies to come talk to us. And by the way, every single one of these pale-faced, long-haired, barely growing a beard guys, and yeah, I'm picking them, right? So, that's much. Right, so, but every single one of these guys went on to do something pretty important later, too. And we're going to pick on them and show embarrassing pictures of what they were like before even this. So this is a watershed moment because this is really when this industry became an industry. Yeah, people were selling red team tests and tiger team shit before that, right? And you could buy firewalls before this. And in fact, the IDS was invented before this, and the antivirus was invented before this. But in terms of a career choice, an industry to actually provide this, because it had value to businesses and wasn't just about meeting some DoD requirement or getting that shit off the boot sector of your 5 1/4-inch floppy. Security grew up and became a real business that year. So, this is my other disclaimer. Don't narc. So we're about to show a bunch of really funny old pictures of hackers. But I am not dropping docs on a whole bunch of hackers. Because I am not that stupid. So no real names. Plus, it'd be pretty fucking hypocritical of me to get up here wearing this beard. I mean, you know, Manuts is my birth name. And pretend like it was okay to run these people down and tell you what these people that were fucking around in the 80s and 90s are now doing for a career today, now that they got families and kids, and give you their real names and stuff. So, no real names. I'm gonna ask for some audience participation, but this is your one rule. No real names. Okay. By the way, who's run this before? Yeah. Okay. And a $500 phone bill later. All right, so the industry begins, man. Free tap phones, 2600 magazine is a thing. We're all dialing into BBSs, right? Who's written a telex script because, like, you know, this is how I recycle when it's busy because I gotta get on this board and answer this asshole's question. And so this is the golden age, man, because this is when nobody was doing security on the business side, but lots of people were thinking about it. It was Wild West, man. Stuff was wide open. But eventually law enforcement catches up, or sort of, right? They get involved. I don't want to say they caught up, because to say that law enforcement had any sort of clue, right? I mean, this is the era where they told people, you know, right, a judge thought Kevin Mitnick could launch missiles from a payphone, right? I mean, okay. I'd like to tell you those days are over, but I really don't know. And I hope not to find out personally. Thank you. So, but assholes go to jail, right? And that's kind of what happens. So let's play our first game, shall we? This is Name the Asshole That Went to Jail. So, name the asshole that went to jail. Just shout it out if you recognize this asshole. I promise you at least a third of you in the room have read his work. Nobody. I am fucking disappointed. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the mentor, and he wrote the Hacker Manifesto. Ironically, the Hacker Manifesto starts with, another one got arrested today. Like, this is it, right? Another one got caught today. He wrote that, posted it to a bulletin board, and 6 weeks later got arrested. Okay. So, next up, these will get easier. How about this one? Who's this? Shout it out. Fuck you, I said no real names. His name is Condor. Read the book, see a movie. This is Condor. This is arrest number 1, as far as I understand. This is VMS source code. He never stands trial for this, he rolls. But they get him. And by the way, I really appreciate him coming out last year to open for me. That was really, really nice of him. Okay. By the way, to get played in a movie by Skeet Ulrich, doesn't that fucking suck? I'm so famous they got Skeet Ulrich to play me. Okay. Alright, name this asshole. Yeah, fiber optic. Very nice. Yep. Masters of Deception. His claim to fame is being a racist. Well, check out their Wikipedia page. It's hilarious and awful. Just for shits and giggles, anybody got this one? This isn't officially part of the contest, but... No? Alright. That's Gail Thackeray. Google her. Alright. How about this one? Oh, by the way, I want the guy on the left. You're right. No? Okay. That is Night Lightning, one of the original members of the Legion of Doom and one of the co-founders of Frat Magazine. Anybody want to name the guy on the right? Anybody gonna guess the guy on the right? He's significantly more famous. All right, sorry, the guy in the red shirt on my left. I got this backwards. Steve.
Not Blood Axe, is it?
Nope, it's not Blood Axe, it isn't. I have embarrassing pictures of him too, but I did not work them into the slide deck. So no, that, to be clear, that is the co-founder, one of the co-founders of Frag, standing next to the founder of 2600. Oh, yeah, okay. What was the rule, though? You're right, it's not. Is it his real name? It is his real name. Okay. So, and Emmanuel manages to make his way into a lot of these pictures because apparently it was cool in the 80s to get your picture taken with it, but I'm actually after this guy. Anybody named that guy? That's Agent Steele. Yeah, you have some more homework to do. So that's Agent Steele. And so the one guy who knew who that was, do you know why this is funny? Because you'll only ever see pictures of Agent Steele above the waist. Anyway, true story. How about this? Can anybody name this guy? You all fail. Even if this is pass-fail, you'd be back next semester. This is Dark Dante. And he was caught breaking into Yahoo and Microsoft and some other sites. And he went to jail. And we'll be talking about him a little later because I promise you, you know him. You just don't recognize him with that douchey skater cut. Yeah. How about this one? Anybody name this hacker? This asshole that went to jail? No, come on, this is slightly more current. Easy. No real names. This fucker's name is Magus. I didn't say you were wrong, I just said you were wrong. Alright. There you go. Okay, so that's assholes that went to jail, right? That's kind of the way the 80s ends. But the good news is we kind of smarten up. We start to sell ourselves, right? Thanks to some things, right? So the internet comes around. We don't have to dial into each other's parents' basements anymore, thank God. Shit's still slow. PPP, C-slip, fucking trumpet windsock. Anybody? K9Q, who's coming with me? So, but computer security is a thing now. It's an early thing, but it's a thing. We're talking about it. There's mailing lists, right? 8LGM, BugTrack, full disclosure. The good old days, unfortunately, full disclosure is still fucking around. And cons, oh my God, cons, right? And we built a community, right? Hackers fucking got together, man. DEF CON, PumpCon, SummerCon, Hope, Computer Chaos Club conference over in Germany if you have rich parents. Right? Or you know, decided to take out college loans to go. And it was cool. We got together, we shared a bunch of information, we got really fucking drunk, I took some pictures. Would you guys like to look at my pictures? Yeah, you would. Because here's the interesting thing about all these horribly embarrassing pictures that I have, is that they have people that are still relevant today all over them. So let's check this out. So, oh yeah, mailing lists. Oh, and I want to talk about some hacker groups. We'll get into the pictures in a second. I told you this was going to suck. I do not have my notes. Okay, so the CDC, Cult of the Dead Cow, recognized probably the first original hacker supergroup. They're responsible for Back Orifice, SMB Relay, Whisker, right? You're all like, oh man, but this shit was a long time ago. Was it? Anybody still using Whisker? About half of you are fucking wrong. You sure are still using Whisker. You just call it something else, but it's still there. Hacktivismo tools. So Scatterchat is a tool that allows for peer-to-peer encrypted instant messaging. They wrote that tool almost 8 years ago, the CDC did, to help human rights activists in China. I think I found a new use case for it this summer. How about you? An XB or Zero Bank is a version of Firefox that comes with an embedded Tor proxy that's always on. So you have a browser that's 100% Tor pushing. Again, designed to help people get over the Great Firewall of China. So, believe it to our government, they didn't put in a Great Firewall. They didn't show what we see. They just put in a great net witness of, right? Sorry, great suricata. I'm gonna keep it vendor neutral. So CDC, man. I mean, this is a significant body of work that they put together, and of course, those of you that know your history, which is like just one of you, know that a lot of the CDC members were also members of another group. Which, by the way, I took that 2 days ago. You fucking run, Whisker. Okay, Loft, right? Well, we talked about them earlier. They did some other cool stuff. Loft Crack, right? Netcat. Did you know that that was a Loft project? Maybe you didn't, but now you do. Now it's been taken over and handed off a number of times, but they started it, right? The Loft itself. Let's not miss the fact that these guys invented hacker spaces, right? You've been somewhere cool, worked on a project with some technology you wouldn't otherwise had access to. I mean, the badges this year were put together, what we call it a makerspace, because we don't get graded, I guess. But, right? GR Makers put this together. That idea completely comes from this group of people. And they did tons of other shit that I'm not going to list because I don't have my notes. Huh, I wonder why I put that on the slide after I mentioned that cat. I can't remember. So text files and zines, man, right? So remember the BBS days and the internet? So I recall the day that Netscape 1.1n came out and the internet got a GUI. Which again, I said it earlier, I'm fucking old. But before that, man, everything was text files and zines, and so there were a ton of great, I mean, so Frac, you know, ZFO, THC, the root docs, there was tons of stuff that was all getting put out and shared, and I have this awesome list in my notes and I can't run it down for you. So I'm just gonna drink. Also, hilarious doxings, right? This isn't something that gets a lot of love from the vendors these days. This is a tradition that didn't get carried forward then. But we saw this, right? So everybody know what a doxing is, right? What it means to dox somebody, right? You know, I break into your shit, I steal your personal information, and I post it to the internet because that's fucking hilarious. Well, so that was like a thing that like died a while ago. Like it really wasn't going on so much, like, but it's back, isn't it? Anybody seen Aaron Barr lately? Oh, fatal doxing. So, and lots of juvenile ego masturbation, talking about how awesome we are and how elite we are and how cool all of our shit is. But remember, these are the guys that did all the hard work to go out and find people that knew stuff that other people didn't, put it together, put it in a text file, edit it, coalesce it, and put it out. And some of the important things that happen in and around this, right? So, Aleph One wrote Smashing the Stack for Fun and Profit in 1996 in the middle of this. He put it out as a T-file. Does anybody understand the significance of Smashing the Stack for Fun and Profit? This was, your bug is my back door, right? This is buffer overflow 101, how to write them, what to do with them, right? Woo Woo put out another one, right? I mean, on heap exploitation attacks, right? For Windows. Because Windows is a target now and we take it for granted. But back in the 90s, nobody was breaking into Windows. Nobody was, well, Simple Nomad was breaking into Novell, but nobody else was, right? But that shit was all still vulnerable too. So anyway, lots of great research put out for free, right? And not just put out for free, like you didn't even have to sit through some guy's fucking sales spiel to download the white paper on the research that they did, right? They didn't want a webinar, they just gave it away. Well, that changed, right? Because they had student loans and that shit came due. So let's take a trip down memory lane through my collection of awkward hacker pictures. This is going to be really hard without my notes, but I'm going to pull it off anyway. Okay, so does anybody recognize this individual? Probably not. This is Sir Distic from Cult of the Dead Cow. He's a member of the Back Orifice team. This is him speaking at, trying to read the badge, and I'm thinking that's DEF CON 6. Does anybody have any idea whatever happened to this guy? He got himself a research job at his own labs and then made it rich when he was acquired by Checkpoint. So, significant pieces of both host and firewall infrastructure that you run today, written by a guy who was clearly part of the scene. All right. How about these guys? Nobody? Anybody? Even if you just recognize the hacker group. I am so fucking disappointed right now. like I do, I want to cry. But I won't. It's that fuck you guys. Alright. So this is X and Route, and the reason that I'm really disappointed is you don't recognize Route is because this guy will stand in front of any fucking camera. But he's also a cool guy because he went to all the trouble of becoming one of the last great editors of the Frack magazine. He's also a member of Root, and now works at Cisco, doing security work at Cisco. And of course, that's X, another member of Root standing next to him, who is a senior researcher for what's now IBM's ISS X-Force, one of the original corporate-facing pen testing companies. As far as I know, X is still at X-Force. And I bet he tells people they named it after him, but I don't think they did. How about this guy? Nobody? Is it the blue hair that's throwing you off? I'll give you a hint. This young man with the punky blue hair showed up at DEF CON this year with a big old gray beard. Nobody? This is Space Rogue from the Loft, and he's now a principal threat analyst. In fact, I think he's like the director of their threat intel program at TrustWave. So all the TrustWave guys in the room that are sitting through the talk, like, fuck you, this is your coworker? By the way, though, $5 if you want a copy of the picture of him with blue hair. All right, these guys. So since you couldn't come up with Space Road, fuck it, I'm not even going to ask anymore. So this group of people standing outside waiting for a cab to get to PumpCon, these are both members of Root, and they went on to do some other stuff. So this guy was a principal at NCircle and then made it rich when he got acquired by Tripwire. He's a really, really nice guy, but also one of the worst public speakers I've ever met. And the guy next to him didn't just get a job at Spy Dynamics was actually the primary code contributor, and you could say he invented WeaponSpec. But this is just them waiting for somebody to buy them alcohol, because I'm pretty sure the guy on the left is underage in this shot. How about this one? Anybody? I've already seen a couple pictures of this guy. Oh, you almost know. I can see you struggling to come up with it. Negative. This is not Java Man. This is Weld Pond. I had to dig to find it. I got lots of pictures of him, but I had to dig to find an embarrassing picture of him because he's a pretty laid back guy. This is Weld Pond, who is a member of the Loft, and of course, might have a little something to do with a company called GrrCON. As do several other members of the Loft, including a guy named Dildog. This was for Doug Song from Arbor, if he was going to make it, but he's not here. So this guy is a member of the Root and another principal at Arbor Networks, just down the road from us. This is, I believe, can't remember if this is DEF CON 6 or PulpCon 96. I don't remember when this picture was taken. How about this one? This should be easy, but no. Okay. All right. So, anybody want to guess who the badass in that picture is? How about that? Let's play that game. Because this is funny. If I don't make fun of them for it, I have failed in my presentation. So, who's the badass in this picture? Yeah, you're right, it is. What's that? By his mom. He's by his mom.
Dressed by his mom.
Dressed by his mom? Yeah. So that's shock. And he did some other cool things, and I'm pretty sure he's still a fairly important guy over at Symantec. But he was also, I believe, holding shares of Intercept when they got acquired by McAfee, and was heavily involved in their research division. And like I said, wrote the paper back in the 90s on heap abuse attacks. So, all right, these douchebags you should all know. No, that's not fair, they're not all douchebags, but I wanted to go to the trouble of pointing out. So this is mostly Loft guys and Dark Tangent, but you know, haha, right, this is what happens. So, how about this one? This is pretty good. I was kind of hoping he was going to be here today. Right? So I'm almost positive. This is either DEF CON 6 or 8. I did not attend 7. But I also think this is one of his own pictures. Actually, I don't think I took this one. I don't think I was there for the green teeth chopstick face thing. But I love this picture. So Mark, if you're in the room, let Doug know I got this one too. So, and how about this one? Anybody recognize these guys? You probably don't, but when I put this up, do you recognize them now? The guy on the right might have written a really important piece of software, but maybe not, I forget. All right, so have you connected the dots yet? We've left trade media and now general media. So 2 years ago, I stood up on it was a slightly different stage, but a stage here at GrrCON, and ranted about how InfoSec is all over the media, and that was a bit of a sea change. But 2 years later, ain't a damn thing changed, right? I can still go home and turn on CNN, and there will be a story tonight about how scared we are of Syria's fucking cyber capabilities, and how they might strike back by, I don't know what, hacking another news corporation I don't fucking read or give a shit about, because we blew some shit up with actual planes and actual bombs. Good God, right? I mean, the hype cycle is out of control. So, but the point is, we let, trade press and the general media talk about this thing of ours, right? We've let them talk about information security to the point that people, and I run into these people all the time, well-intended people that want in on what we do. Probably some of you in this room who came in thinking, this is mine, I'm on this side. But you get it, right? There's no fucking side, right? The hackers are the vendors, are the law enforcement, are the government. It's a continuum, It is not an either or. It is not black and white, right? And without the hackers, and without the cons, and without the scene, and without the underground, there's no industry, right? I'm going to go ahead and bet. And I do not know, but I'm going to bet, and this is perfect because you'll never fucking find out either. So I'm right as far as you're concerned. That somebody who went to a DEF CON, or a SummerCon, or had a BBS account back in the day, or used to get auto-opt on pound 2600 on IRC back in the day, had a little something to do with the collection and correlation code that went into Prism. So let that sink in. This is all infighting, man. And in case you don't believe me yet, let me collect your attention and put the final pieces in place for you. So we're going to play one more game of assholes that went to jail. Who is this? No, wrong. I said no fucking real names. This is Brad S87. Thank you very much. And Brad S. Oh, you bigoted pigs. Like again, I told you not to take a fucking side on this, but really, come on. You know, all right, whatever. I'm just fucking with you. Of course, I take this picture because it's the fucking best picture ever. But this is like M. Night Shyamalan wrote the ending to this thing. Right? He's our new exhibit. Right, the guy that's going to go away in a hole in Manuts for the rest of his life is a girl. There you go. Anyway, so yes, this is Brad S87. I think we're all very familiar with what's going on with Brad S. Perhaps more familiar than we'd like to be. So the next one. Assholes that went to jail. Wait, we've seen all these fuckers already, haven't we? That's Magus. That's Condor. And that, without the douchey skater cut, that's Dark Dante. And I said I wasn't going to dox people, but I think Kevin Mitnick doesn't give a fuck if I use his real name at this point. And I don't think that Kevin Polson cares that I've connected the dots between his jail time hacker past and the fact that he's now an award-winning writer for Wired Magazine, or that he got the exclusive from Adrian Lameau on the left there, who turned in Chelsea Manning for having turned over all that information to WikiLeaks. So you get it? This isn't a Photoshop. That picture was taken in 2001 before Lameau goes to jail, before he hacks the New York Times himself. So I want you just to take a second and let that sink in. So if you thought all those old funny pictures that I showed you don't have shit to do with what's going on today, you were sadly mistaken. You are now in the exact place that these people were 15, 20 years ago. This is a hacker con, right? Maybe you learned some stuff, maybe you're curious, right? Maybe you have a particular feeling. Maybe one of you is running around with a Guy Fawkes mask, I don't know. just the one of you I've seen so far. So, but I guess that's ultimately my point, right? Is somehow, some way we manage to declare war on ourselves and forget who the hell we are, right? And I'm not saying that, hey, it's okay to just, walk away from all the rules, right? But it is that curiosity, it's that hacking, it's that I don't want to take and follow a set of rules for the purpose of following a set of rules. Gosh, I think it was slide number 6, that manifesto written by the guy that none of you people fucking recognize, that lays out for you what it is that makes the entire thing that we're here to consider and learn about and hopefully move forward in our own careers, right? We lost sight of that somehow. So I hope that I managed to bring that back into focus for you. Normally I just rant and swear a lot, and I hope I've done enough of that those of you who are entertained. But I had a genuine point, right? I mean, I can pick on fucking pen testers because it's easy. And I can pick on certs because it's obvious. But this one really kind of fucking hit home for me. And it's a big deal that we've gotten so far out of whack that people that have the same interests and the same heart and can share the same information and learn from each other would single each other out as enemies. And that goes both ways. I'm not just saying the NSA is right or wrong. I'm not just saying Anonymous and LOL are right or wrong. I'm saying that if we fail to learn from each other and get that we are just part of the same thing, then we're going to ruin this thing if we haven't already. Finally, in 1999, a group of dicks called the Legion of Underground Hacksaws, I never fucking heard of before or since, which makes me think they were, you know, the precursor to the Syrian Electronic Army. Because trust me, it's a couple of drone strikes, you won't hear anything about those assholes again either. Maybe they got his web editor job back. So anyway, but Cult of the Dead Cow, 2600, Loft, Frack, the Chaos Computer Club, and about 20 other organizations, but those are the big hitters, right? I mean, that is essentially the trade press of the time came out and said, this is a bad idea. And I'm going to just stand up here and read the statement to you. Governments worldwide are seeking to establish cyberspace as a new battleground for their artificial conflicts. The LOU has inadvertently legitimized this alarmist propaganda. With its dramatic announcement, the LOU played into the hands of policymakers who want complete control over the internet and are looking for reasons to seize it. If hackers solicit recognition as paramilitary factions, then hacking in general will be seen as an act of war. Ergo, hackers will be viewed as legitimate targets of warring states. 14 years later, how do you feel about that? That was pretty fucking prophetic, wasn't it? And keep in mind that every single one of those company logos that I showed you earlier, next to each one of those pictures of those awkward drunk college kids, that was them then. They got it. All right. Now, stop being stupid. Fuck off.